The cottage stood alone. Nestled between whispering pines, it promised peace. Emily, seeking solace from a life shattered, found herself drawn to its isolation. Sunlight, filtering through dusty windows, painted the interior with a fragile hope. She unpacked her life into creaking cupboards and worn floorboards. Each item held the promise of a fresh start. That night, nestled under a heavy quilt, Emily felt a sliver of peace she hadn't known in years. The village, a cluster of houses huddled against the mountain's base, held a wary curiosity about Emily. Old Mrs. Hathaway, her eyes like faded blue buttons, delivered fresh bread with a side of caution. "Lonely place," she murmured, "especially at night." Emily, craving connection, probed further. Mrs. Hathaway's words were hesitant, laced with fear. The previous owner, Margaret, had vanished. "Just like that," she whispered, "gone without a trace." The first whisper slithered up the basement stairs on the third night, a sound so faint it could have been imagined. A breath of cold air brushed against Emily's cheek, sending a shiver down her spine. Her pulse quickened, heart pounding in her chest. The cottage, once a place of warmth and promise, now echoed with unseen presences, filling the rooms with an unsettling silence. Days turned into a cycle of unease. The whispers grew bolder, worming their way into her waking hours, making her question her sanity. Driven by a desperate need to understand the source of her torment, Emily ventured into the basement, her steps hesitant but determined. Dust-laden shadows clung to every corner, the air thick with the scent of decay and neglect. And then she saw it, an ornately carved mirror, half hidden beneath a tattered sheet, its surface dull and foreboding, as if it held secrets of its own. Section 4. Trapped Reflections. The mirror called to her, its voice a haunting whisper that echoed in the silence. Its surface, clouded with age, seemed to pulsate with an unseen energy, as if it were alive and breathing. Emily's hand trembled as she brushed the dust away, each stroke revealing more of the mysterious glass. Beneath her fingertips, the glass was icy cold, sapping the warmth from her hand, sending chills up her spine. Her reflections stared back, a stranger in the dim light. Or was it? The eyes seemed different, almost knowing. For a fleeting moment, another figure flickered behind her in the mirror's depths, a shadowy presence that made her heart race. Panic seized her, a cold fist squeezing her heart, making it hard to breathe. She fled the basement, the whispers chasing her up the stairs, growing louder with each step, as if the mirror itself was calling her back. Section 5. The Stormy Night. Sleep offered no escape. The whispers infiltrated her dreams, twisting them into nightmares of entrapment. She covered the mirror with a heavy cloth, a desperate attempt to sever the connection. But the whispers only intensified, fueled by the fury of a sudden storm. Rain lashed against the windows, mirroring the turmoil within Emily. A crash of thunder, and the power went out, plunging the cottage into darkness. Fear, sharp and cold, propelled her towards the basement door. Section 6. The silence remains. The mirror beckoned her closer, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Emily felt an inexplicable pull, as if the mirror itself was calling her name. Lightning illuminated the room in a blinding flash, revealing the cloth lying on the floor. It hadn't fallen by accident. It had been ripped away with a force that spoke of anger and desperation. Emily stood before the mirror, mesmerized by the terror reflected in its depths. It wasn't her own reflection that stared back at her. A woman, her face contorted in a silent scream, stared back. Margaret, the previous owner of the cottage, who had vanished without a trace. The whispers reached a crescendo, pulling Emily closer. They were voices of the past, echoing through the corridors of time. She reached out, her fingers sinking into the cold glass as darkness engulfed her. The cottage stood silent, as if holding its breath. The storm subsided, leaving a chilling calm in its wake. The air was thick with the weight of untold stories. Only the whispers remained, weaving tales of a cursed mirror and the souls it imprisoned. Each whisper was a fragment of a forgotten life, waiting for the next lost soul, seeking a new beginning, unaware of the fate that awaited them within the mirror's depths.